Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. Welcome to another episode of the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. I'm your host, Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Leffridge, and I'm so glad that you guys are here for our special edition shows. This is the 21 days of gratitude on the Unstoppable Story Show. 21 days where we talk about gratitude, what you are grateful for. You know, they say if you do anything for 21 days straight, it becomes a habit. And so that's why we do it for 21 days, because we hope that you'll continue to watch us throughout these 21 days and you'll think about beyond these 21 days what you're grateful for so that you'll always have an attitude of gratitude. Welcoming you in again. We are so glad that you are here. We've got another phenomenal guest that's going to be joining us this evening. And I wanted to talk to you about connections. I'm grateful for the connections. Many of you know that I moved from Chicago down to sunny South Florida right before the pandemic in 2020. So the opportunity to make connections in person was very sparse. I moved here in January and COVID decided to follow in March. But in those 3 months, January, February, March, I was able to connect with one of my friends who was already living down here. And then they connected me to this wonderful group of individuals down here going under the banner of Toastmasters. Now, many of you are familiar with Toastmasters International. Probably some of you who are watching us live or watching the replay are also involved in one of your local Toastmasters chapters. Well, I got a chance to be a part of the Paul Spiewak Toastmasters Club 6003 down here in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Shout out to Club 6003. And I met this phenomenal lady at the first couple of meetings. And as soon as I signed my name on the dotted line, this 4'11" tower of power was on me like, well, you know the saying. And ever since then, we have had a great connection. She has helped me go through the Toastmasters ranks. She's helped me become a better speaker. She's helped me make connections here in South Florida that I probably would have never made unless I had reached out to her. But she's a phenomenal woman in her own right. She's a two-time TEDx speaker, five-time distinguished Toastmaster, and a master storyteller. That's I know if you stick and stay, you'll find a way to be grateful that you did. So let's welcome to the stage to the Unstoppable Story Show. She's no stranger. She's none other than CeCe Espeut. Hey, CeCe.
Hey there. Hey. And thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Your check's in the mail.
Okay, and it's recorded. I'll send it to you. How are you, CeCe?
I am, oh my goodness. I am doing so well. It's amazing. It's amazing. I am just really enjoying life right now.
And you look amazing too. So it must be agreeing with you. And we thank you for taking some of your busy time to make some time to hang out with us on the 21 days of gratitude. You know, I said in the opening, anything you do for 21 days eventually will become a habit. And we're hoping that this will allow people to have a habit of being grateful throughout the process. So we thank you for sharing your time. Now, CeCe, thank you for the check that's coming. But as great as an introduction as I did, I feel that nobody can introduce themselves better than themselves. So why don't you take 30 seconds and reintroduce yourself to some who've watched you here on the show, but introduce yourself to others on the Unstoppable Story Show.
All right. So I'm going to read something that I wrote um, in one of my sleepless nights. And it says, I am the daughter of Elgita, the great granddaughter. I'm sorry, let me start over. I am the daughter of Elgita, the granddaughter of Epsy, aka Grandma Pepsi, the great granddaughter of Violet, the great great granddaughter of Ellen, and the great 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 granddaughter of Ellen, who was emancipated when she was 5 years old. And now I'm a great grandmother too. That is something that I am so incredibly proud of and grateful for, because when I look at myself being a great grandmother, my grandmother seemed so old and crotchety and mean. And I like to think that I am the glam great mother of
Well,
I'm a glam mother. Is
and
that
when you sent that to me, I was so taken aback by that I had to make sure that we got it up on the screen so that everybody can see, because I am is a powerful affirmation. I use it all the time. I am unstoppable. But when you can say I am the daughter of, when you can say I am the granddaughter of, the grandma of, the great granddaughter, and the great 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 granddaughter, then you are actually, calling out to the ancestors, and you're giving them their homage. You're giving them their flowers by simply saying I am, not I was or I will, but I am.
mhm.
And that's a powerful statement. And then to add on to it, you said that you are grateful for that bloodline. So why don't we just jump right on into that as we talk about gratitude tonight? What makes you so grateful for your bloodline?
Yesterday, just yesterday, I was standing on the porch and I was looking at my four great grandsons playing in the street. Now, I don't know if anybody else has ever been aggravated with their kids and they're like, go play in the road, go stand in the middle of the highway and play, just like go away from me. But my four boys were just riding their bikes up and down the road. And I just stood there and I looked at them and I said, people could see those boys in a crowd and know that they belong to me.
Mm.
Our hair is the same way. Between us, we do not own a comb or a brush.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I grabbed one of them the other day. His hair is so curly, just like mine. And I grabbed it. I grabbed him, and his hair is long. And I pulled his hair, and I was like, come here, boy, let me brush your hair. And then everybody looked at me, and they're like, we don't have a brush. Nobody in the house has a brush. And I was like, wow, you're just going to have to go with your hair curly just like that. But it was just in that moment that I realized that, wow, this is it. This is my bloodline. And there's a saying that says, the goal is not to create something, not to do something that will live forever, but to create something that will live forever.
Hmm.
And I looked at these four boys and I was just like, wow, yeah, this is my DNA. This is my bloodline. And so it gave me a sense that maybe I need to do right. Maybe I need to teach them what I know. Just have some conversations with them. Just tell them some stories. Tell them about their great, 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 great grandmother who was emancipated when she was 5 years old.
Yeah. They say they will judge us by the fruit that we bear. And that's how you judge any tree, by the fruit that falls from it. And isn't it wonderful to be able to look at your great grandkids and to see the seeds that have grown from not just your tree, but the tree was there long. You were one of those seeds that fell, and the
Right.
tree still stands.
Mhm.
Many legacies have come before you, and now you are part of the legacy, and you have created legacies through your kids, your grandkids, and now your great grandkids. So
Hmm.
they will judge the tree of CeCe by the fruit that she bears.
Right.
What do you want that fruit to be?
I want them to be happy. As men of African descent, I worry. You know, we all worry about our children when they leave home. Are they coming back? Are they going to get in trouble when they get out there? And I pray for that. I really do. But, as I look at those boys and as I look at my grandsons, so I have six grandsons and then four great grandsons. So a lot of
Mhm.
boys in
A
our
lot of
family.
boys.
And I pray that they're happy. I pray that they find a partner who loves them and that they're equally yoked, because I think if you're with the right person and if you're happy, you can be happy under a bridge or you can be happy in a palace. And I think that's what I want for the boys. I want them to be happy. I want them to be fulfilled. Yes, I do.
I love that. I love that. And I love doing this show because every time I think I've found everything that you could possibly be grateful for, then Cece comes along and reminds us that it's not just about the one, it's about the tribe. And that's what you're really talking about when you talk about your bloodline all the way back to before emancipation, all the way up to 2024. What has happened in between that space?
Mhm.
They say that the most important thing on your tombstone is that dash.
Is that dash, right?
Not only your dash, but the bloodline dash. What happened between the very first person in that bloodline to the very last whenever this world comes to an end? What was that dash? And
Correct.
what was fulfilled in that dash? And I like to think, as I'm sure you like to think, that my bloodline has done some phenomenal things. I just reflect on Monday. My uncle, he was a Marine. I have doctors in my family. Yeah, shout out to the veterans. Thank you for your service, thank you for your service as well, CC.
Right.
Uh,
Thank you for your support. Thank you.
you are so welcome. But so I had military people in our family. I've had doctors in our families. I've had pastors in our families. I've had lawyers in our family. I'm an entrepreneur and a coach, and I like to think that I've added some value to that dash in my bloodline, so that when people talk about leverage, they say, "Yeah, I know that guy, Mr. Unstoppable. He's really doing some great things for your bloodline. The fruit from the leverage tree is making an impact
Hmm.
on the ground that it fell on." And that's what we don't want our seeds, we don't want our fruit to just fall on the ground and die. We
Correct.
want it we want it to really get enriched into the soil and repurpose itself and create something even more greater from where it originally fell. So I I love that you brought up this fact that you're grateful for your bloodline. That just blew me away. And the picture that you sent me, I'm gonna keep it on my screensaver because I like that. I am, and then just to be able to put in, I am the sum of all these that became before me.
Hmm.
It's powerful. So have you started sharing a little bit about all these people with your great grandkids?
Oh, are you kidding me? They have to recite it. They have to recite it. Are you kidding me? Oh, and believe me, theirs is long because
Okay.
they have to add me and they have to add their mother.
Okay.
So they add me, their mother, their grandmother, and then their parents. So they've got three, three or four more lines to say. And I
Wow.
do. I make them stand up there and that you should see them. They've got to recite all the way back because I think it's important that we remember that we didn't just get here.
Right.
I mean, I stand on the shoulders of so many others. Right.
Yes.
And I will tell you this. All right. It's not going to sound nice, but I'm going to say it. So my great great grandmother, who was emancipated when she was 5. All right, Ellen. She was emancipated when she was 5. So technically, she was out there in the sugarcane fields, okay,
Hmm.
as a 5-year-old. So if you look at any 5-year-old running around, they're skinny, they're wimpy, they're uncoordinated. If she was a slave and she was out there doing, picking cotton or doing sugarcane, I personally think that she suffered and stood in the sun long enough that I don't have to do it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I will never stand in the sun. I'm like brown sugar melts. I am not standing in the sun to do anything. Like no, like no, not doing it, not doing it.
Well, shout out to Ellen White Burrell, who paved the way for
Pave the
you
way,
not to
pave
be
the way.
able to stand in the sun.
Right? And so that's why I believe in education,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm not standing out there in the sun. Now, if any of my bloodline after me wants to do anything to stand in the sun, that's on them. But Ellen did enough for me that I don't have to. Not
Yeah, and I think the point that really gets drawn home is that she did so much without a choice so that we could have a choice today.
correct.
And I
Correct.
think that's where we have to think about. When I was talking to our guests the other day, Royal Kai, we were talking about there's no such thing as self-made anything, and that term gets thrown around so easily. I'm a self-made this, I'm a self-made that. No, anything you have become in life, somebody somewhere along the way helped you or pushed you or put you in a position where you could do this. And our ancestors, our bloodline did some things, learned some things, shared some things, passed down some things so that the bloodline today is now being able to do the same thing for hopefully the bloodline of the future. So
Correct.
I I really appreciate you for bringing that to my attention and bringing it to our audience attention. Something else to be grateful for. There's many people probably in our bloodline. The crazy uncle, the no cousin that you love from afar. But I'm grateful for each and every one of them because they bring something different to our bloodline that allows our bloodline to continue. So thank you for that. And
Right.
I know you got one. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I heard Royal Kai's interview. I think it was a brilliant interview. So shout out to him. That was a great, great segment. But I will say this, that one of the things that my mother always, one of the stories my mother always told was of her great grandmother Ellen wearing combat boots and how she was an entrepreneur. She would wear combat boots and a skirt and she would sell stuff. And to see that here, how many years later, I am a U.S. Marine wearing combat boots, I feel that connection.
Yeah,
Feel
yeah.
that connection. I'm just like, it's almost like I'm channeling her, wearing the combat boots. And sometimes I just put the combat boots on and just walk around the house. Because I'm
Yeah, and before you get too far with the visual, we just gonna leave it right there.
oh yeah, because I don't want to. Okay, yeah, you know where we're going next.
Yeah, I do know my CeCe. Well, and you know what? That's why she's a master storyteller, you guys. She connected the bridge between 100 some years ago to now. And there's nothing new created under the sun. Everything has a cycle, everything has a season, everything that you want to be or can be or aspire to be in life. Just look back along your bloodline and you'll probably see where it was done in one shape, form, or fashion to give you the ability to be able to do it right now. We're hanging out with the two-time TEDx speaker and master storyteller CeCe Espeut on the Unstoppable Story Show, the 21 Days of Gratitude, you guys. And we're going to take a quick break and come back and talk some more about gratitude. But the Unstoppable Story Show is sponsored by BTBY. BTBY, Becoming the Better You, provides training, coaching, and media representation. If you want to get more information on how you can become a better version of yourself each and every day, then go on over to our site, comechangeyourlife.com. And we'll be back in just a second with the Unstoppable Stories Show. Yes, yes, yes. Come on over to comechangeyourlife.com and you can find out more about what we do to help speakers become the best speaker that they can be. It's the Becoming the Best Speaker Academy, an 8-week course where you can go from being just an average communicator to a master presentator, where you can talk on virtual stages as well as live stages. And hey, you too can even learn how to create your very own show like you see here with the Unstoppable Story Show. Our next courses are starting in early in 2025. Go on over to btbspeaker.com, btbspeaker.com, where you can get more information about our upcoming classes. We're still hanging out with the two-time TEDx speaker and master storyteller. I just love to say that. CeCe Espeut, my good friend. Hey, CeCe, welcome back.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. This is
Well, we're so
much.
glad to have you. You also talk about being grateful. We talked a little bit about it, but let's go a little bit deeper about it. You're grateful for your health and your great grandson. So they go hand in hand. So explain it a little bit more for the audience.
When I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I remember my grandmothers being angry, mean, and I culturally it was not appropriate for them to hug us and show us love. All right, and that comes from the whole slavery thing in the West Indies and Jamaica. Now I look at myself and I go, why can't I hug my grandsons? Why can't I tell them they're that I love them? Because here's what I realize as a great grandmother. Children learn to speak to themselves. They learn their internal dialogue by how we speak to them. Okay? So let me break that down to you. Back in the day, children were seen and not heard,
I heard, yeah.
right? And it was always go sit in the corner, be quiet, right? You have to eat at the children's table. You cannot be with us. This is for grown-ups.
Right.
So isn't that what we're doing now? Isn't that how we're talking to ourselves? That we don't
Yeah.
deserve the best things in life, that we need to be off by ourselves. We taught our children how to speak to themselves. So I'm so grateful that I am healthy enough, that I'm healthy enough now to love my grandkids, to stand on the porch and watch them, you know, to throw a ball to them, to get in the pool with them, because that is something none of my grandparents ever did with me. Like
Yeah.
not I can tell you that I don't remember them ever hugging me, much less telling me they loved me.
Wow. And that's important to break the cycle. It's
Hmm.
important not to do the same thing to your grandkids and your great grandkids that was done to you. So how have they responded to grandma and hugging on them and throwing balls and swimming with them and all those great things?
So I'll tell you this. Hang on, my throat.
You can grab some water.
I
It's
know,
only
like all of a
water.
sudden I'm getting emotional and choked up. But on purpose, intentionally, I bought a Mini Cooper. All right.
Mm,
Small car. That means only myself and one other person
another
can
person.
sit there. Every week or every time I go out, I take one grandkid or one great grandkid. That way we have to talk.
That quality time.
Like we get to do something, even if it's just going to the store, right? And just doing something. But it's that one on one time with one grandkid. And you'll hear them say, "Oh, it's my turn. You went last time. It's my turn this time." And you'll see them racing to the car to get in the front seat.
And
And
then,
now some of them are driving, so they race to the driver's seat. And I'm like,
okay.
I'm not really ready for that. So,
Right.
you know,
I've seen that Mini Cooper. You want to hold on to it a little bit
right.
longer.
But here's the thing, I've taught them how to drive. The ones that are old enough, I have
Mhm.
taught them how to drive. And some of them are doing the countdown on when they're old enough to learn how to drive.
Mm. Yeah.
That to me is
Yeah.
special.
And that goes back to the first thing, being grateful for the bloodline, because now you've created that legacy. You've created those lasting memories that are going to live on beyond you. And it's important for that.
Right.
And there were some instances, like you were alluding to earlier, that you didn't see your grandmother do this or say this. My mom, she worked two jobs for most of her life. So I was raised by my great grandmother, my grandmother, and my aunt. And I remember my grandmother gave me the nickname Duke, because for as long as I could remember, when my mom would go to work, I'd be with my grandma and we'd be watching John Wayne movies, because that's what came on it. We didn't have cable TV, we didn't have satellite, we didn't have streaming video back then. We had four channels, and John Wayne was on one of them all the time. And his nickname was the Duke.
I do.
That's where I got my nickname from. But it's those type of lasting memories. I can remember my grandma saying this and that. I can remember my great grandma saying this and that. It's important as a child to have those type of memories
Right.
that you can take with you, um, because you never know when the person is going to be gone and all you have left is the
Others,
memories.
yes.
Not to get too off track, but one of my coworkers just recently lost a family member, and that was one of the conversations we were having. At the end of the day, you want to be able to say that you've got those memories, and that you can remember what your bloodline means to you, because you can remember what your bloodline did for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Right. Like you say, the goal is not to live forever, it's to create something that will.
Yes, absolutely. So if your great glamsons were just to pop in right now, what would they say about CeCe?
Well, I will tell you this is something really funny. The third one from the bottom. So everybody calls me Miss CeCe because I do a lot of work in the schools as a
Mhm.
photographer, and I don't want them to be calling me grandma. Then I'll have the whole school calling me grandma.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm single. I don't want to be out there and Mr. Right not pay attention because I got all these grandbabies all over me.
Right. He
So,
he can't get in the one seat because all
right,
the grandkids want
right,
it.
right. So it's really funny. They call me Miss Cece. Well, the third from the bottom, he just refuses to call me Miss Cece. He'll just look at me and he'll go, Grandma. And I'm like, boy, if your hair wasn't so curly, if you didn't look just like me, I would snatch you. But he insists on calling me, I only because he can't say great grandma yet, but he just
Mhm.
calls me grandma. I'm like, boy, you look just like me,
Yeah,
so, you know,
yeah.
yeah,
As much as you want to, can't do anything with that.
right,
That's
can't do anything
wonderful.
with it. Can't do anything
That's
with it. But I'll tell you, I love to go out and, especially when I'm working professionally, if I'm doing an event, if I'm leading a workshop, I like to have the boys come in. And it's so funny because their mother dresses them all alike. They go from 9 to 3 months old, but the mother dresses them all alike. And I think
mhm.
it's so funny. But
The other way, they're yours.
right, right, right. They look like the Von Trapp kids from The Sound of Music way back in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
They're just, step stool, but you can tell them. You can tell they all belong to me. They skip looking like their grandmother and their parents. They look just like me. Um, but I like to showcase them and let people know this is what storytelling is all about. Now, I don't know about anybody else out there listening, but I've made some mistakes in my life. If you watch any of my TEDx talks, it tells all about my mistakes. It just puts everything out there. But the idea is, how do you want to tell your story? You know, what do you want to say about yourself? And so the way I became a storyteller was I wanted to tell my story before anybody told my boys, my grandson,
Yeah,
the story of, you know, what I had done.
yeah,
And, it's funny because my mother, she'll call me and she'll go, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going out. I met somebody. I'm going out on a date." And she'll go, "Shh, don't tell them that you've been to prison." And I'm like, "Ma, it's out there on YouTube." It's like when you type in my name, it's the first thing that comes up. But what I've been able to do with that story is help so many people
yes,
realize that, hey, just because you should not be judged for something you did on the worst day of your life for the rest of your life.
yeah.
Okay, and it's how you tell the story. How do you take ownership and responsibility for what you did? And so that's kind of what all the storytelling is about. That's how I really try to live my life. And that is what I'm grateful for now, is that I get to help other people, in telling their story.
Well, I am grateful for you being a master storyteller. You've helped me on many occasions refine my story or come up with a great way to tell another story. So I personally am grateful to you, CeCe, for that. And I'm sure there are many people that are grateful for your assistance in the world of TEDx as well as in the world of Toastmasters. But there are some new people that are going to see this show and they're going to want to reach out to you. So, how is the best way for them to reach out to the master storyteller?
Well, thank you for that question. Best way to reach me is on LinkedIn, or you can send me a personal email at my Gmail account. So it's espeut.cc@gmail.com. All right.
And we've got that information posted on the screen. So you can either email her or check her out on her fabulous LinkedIn page. Check her out and bring her in, have her tell a master story to your community group, your corporation, or your nonprofit entity. She will definitely be a great entertainment and full of information. And I highly recommend her. I'm a little biased, but that's me. But CeCe, as always, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time here with us on the Unstoppable Stories show, sharing what you're grateful for on our 21 days of gratitude. We appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving, and we look forward to having you back on the show sometime soon, okay?
All right. Thank you so much. This is very wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. This is CeCe Espeut. Hey, on the 21 Days of Gratitude on the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. Hey, if you're interested in sharing what you're grateful for, there's still time. We've got a couple more days in our 21 days of gratitude. Simply reach out to me, email me at tleffridge@unstoppablecoaching.com. Give me one paragraph about what you are grateful for. And who knows, you too may be the next guest on the Unstoppable Stories Show on the 21 Days of Gratitude. Now, wherever you are in the world today, you know what I say. Don't just make it a great day, but be grateful for each and everything in your life. And you won't help but to make it an unstoppable day. Take care, you guys.